Lee Hanul walked through the long hallway of Nexus Prime Station. The walls were tall and made of strange metal that seemed to glow with its own light. His footsteps echoed in the empty space. Behind him, Park Minho carried a small bag with Earth's documents. "Are you ready for this?" Minho asked quietly. Hanul nodded but said nothing. He had been preparing for this day his whole life, Earth's first meeting with the Galactic Council. The day humanity would join the galaxy as equals. At least that was what they hoped. The doors to the council chamber opened without sound. The room inside was huge. 5 different areas were built. Around a center stage, each one designed for a different alien species. The air smelled strange, like metal and something sweet that made Hanul's nose wrinkle. "The human representative has arrived," announced a voice from nowhere. The words came through speakers built into the walls. Hanul stepped forward and looked around the chamber. He had studied these species for years, but seeing them in person was different. On his left sat the Vorthak Empire delegation. They looked like giant lizards walking on 2 legs. Their skin was dark green and covered with scales that looked like armor. Their eyes were yellow and cold. The largest one, who must be their leader, was at least 3 meters tall. His claws tapped against the metal table in front of him. To his right were the beings from the Celestial Dominion. They did not have solid bodies like humans. Instead, they looked like living light, with energy flowing through shapes that almost looked like people. When they moved, colors danced through their forms like rainbows in water. Behind them sat the Hive Collective. These were insect-like creatures with 6 arms and 4 legs each. Their heads looked like giant ant heads, but their eyes were much larger and darker. They moved together in perfect timing, as if they shared one mind. The Trade Federation members looked like they came from Earth's oceans. Their skin was blue-green and wet, and they had gills on their necks that opened and closed as they breathed. Their hands had webbed fingers, and when they spoke, their voices sounded like water bubbling. The last group was the Ancient Order. They were the hardest to look at. Their bodies seemed to change shape slowly, never staying the same for more than a few seconds. Sometimes they looked almost human, sometimes like trees, sometimes like rocks, but their eyes never changed. They were old eyes, the kind that had seen too much. The Vorthak leader stood up. When he moved, the whole chamber seemed to shake a little. "I am Zethvar, leader of the Galactic Council. You are the human called Lee Hanul." "I am," Hanul replied. He kept his voice calm and clear. "I speak for Earth and all of humanity." Zethvar's mouth opened in what might have been a smile, but with all those sharp teeth, it looked more like a threat. "Good. Then we can get straight to business. The Council has decided to accept humanity into our galactic community." Hanul felt a moment of hope. Maybe this would be easier than expected. However, Zethvar continued, and Hanul's hope died. "There are certain requirements that must be met." A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth, beautiful and blue, spinning slowly. Then numbers and charts appeared around it. "Earth must provide 60% of its natural resources to the Galactic Council," Zethvar said. "This includes all metals, energy sources, and food production beyond what your species needs to survive." The hologram changed to show human faces. Thousands of them, then millions. "Earth must also provide 2 million humans each year to work throughout the galaxy. They will serve in our mines, factories, and farms. This is a great honor, as they will see worlds beyond their small planet." Hanul's hands tightened into fists, but he kept them at his sides. He had expected something like this, but hearing it was still hard. "Finally," Zethvar continued, "Earth will accept a council oversight government. We will place advisors in your major cities to make sure you follow galactic law and provide what is required." The hologram disappeared. The chamber was quiet except for the sound of the Trade Federation members' gills opening and closing. "In exchange," said one of the Celestial Dominion beings, its voice like music played through broken glass, "humanity will receive our protection from hostile forces. You will also have limited trading rights with other council species." "Limited?" Hanul asked. "You may trade for basic supplies only," explained a Trade Federation member, water dripping from its mouth as it spoke. "Advanced technology and weapons are forbidden to primitive species." One of the Hive Collective creatures spoke next. Its voice sounded like many voices talking at the same time. These terms are generous. Most species we encounter are simply conquered and enslaved. We are offering you a choice. An ancient order representative rippled and changed into a shape almost like a human woman. Your species is young. You do not understand the galaxy yet. Accept our guidance, and you may survive long enough to become truly civilized. Zethvar sat back down, making his chair groan under his weight. You have 72 hours to return to your world and get an answer from your leaders. When you come back, you will either accept our offer or face the consequences of refusing it. Hanul took a deep breath. He had practiced this speech many times, but his mouth felt dry. I need to understand something. What you call an offer sounds more like demands. What if humanity has a different proposal? The chamber erupted in sounds that might have been laughter. The Vorthak made deep growling noises. The celestial beings created musical tones that hurt to hear. The hive creatures clicked and buzzed. The Trade Federation members made gurgling sounds. Even the ancient order rippled with what looked like amusement. A different proposal? Zethvar's yellow eyes narrowed. Little human, you seem to think you have power here. Your species has 3 small colonies and a handful of ships that can barely leave your solar system. We have ruled the galaxy for millions of years. The Vorthak Empire alone has 50,000 warships, growled another Vorthak. Each one could destroy your entire planet. We have seen your technology, sang a celestial being. You still use chemical rockets and metal bullets. We manipulate energy itself and bend space to our will. Our numbers are beyond your counting, buzzed the hive representative. We have colonized 10,000 worlds and have armies of trillions. Your entire economy could not buy a single one of our trade vessels, gurgled a Trade Federation member. The Ancient Order representative looked sad as she spoke. We have watched species like yours rise and fall for eons. You always think you are special, but you are not. Accept our terms while you still can. Zethvar stood again and walked closer to Hanul. Each step made the floor vibrate. You have no military worth mentioning. No technology we fear. No resources we cannot take by force. The only reason we offer you this choice is because it is easier than wiping you out and starting over with a more grateful species. Hanul felt Park Minho move closer behind him, but he did not step back. He looked up at the giant lizard-like creature and spoke clearly. I understand your position. I will return to Earth and share your terms with our leaders. But I want to make sure I have this right. You are demanding that humanity surrender most of our resources, millions of our people, and our freedom to govern ourselves. In return, you offer protection from threats and limited trade rights. Is that correct? Exactly. Zethvar nodded. See, your species can be taught. And if we refuse? The Vorthak leader's smile grew wider, showing more teeth. Then we will take what we want anyway. But it will be much less pleasant for your species. Hanul nodded slowly. I see. Then I will return with Earth's answer in 72 hours. Excellent! Zethvar turned to walk back to his seat. Do not disappoint us, little human. The galaxy can be a dangerous place for those who anger the Council. As Hanul and Minho left the chamber, they could hear the alien voices behind them, discussing humans like they were talking about livestock. The words primitive, the weak, and pathetic came through clearly. Walking back through the corridors, Minho finally spoke. That went about as badly as we expected. Hanul's face was calm, but his eyes were hard. Actually, it went exactly as we hoped. Now we know exactly what kind of beings we are dealing with. What do we tell Earth? The truth. And then we let them decide how to respond. Hanul paused at an observation window that showed the stars outside. They think they know humanity. They think we are weak because we came here seeking peace instead of conquest. Aren't we? Hanul turned from the window. Minho, there is a difference between choosing peace and being weak. They are about to learn what that difference is. As their ship departed Nexus Prime, Hanul sent a message back to Earth. It contained only 4 words. Diplomacy has failed. Prepare. 3 days later, Li Hanul walked back into the council chamber. This time, he did not walk alone. Park Minho was with him again, but now he carried a different bag. This one contained Earth's real response. The aliens were already waiting. They looked relaxed, almost bored. Zethvar was cleaning his claws with a small metal tool. The celestial beings were dimmer than before, as if they were saving energy. The hive creatures sat perfectly still. The Trade Federation members were eating something that smelled like rotten fish. The Ancient Order representatives had taken shapes that looked like comfortable chairs. "Ah, the human returns," Zethvar said without looking up from his claws. "I trust your leaders have seen sense and accepted our generous terms." Hanul stepped to the center of the room. He opened the bag and pulled out a datapad. "I have Earth's response to your proposal. But first, we would like to make a counter-proposal." This got their attention. Zethvar looked up sharply. The celestial beings grew brighter. The hive creatures turned their large black eyes toward him. Even the Ancient Order shifted into more alert shapes. "A counter-proposal?" Zethvar's voice was dangerous and low. "You think you can negotiate with us?" "Earth believes that all species benefit when they work together as equals," Hanul said. He activated the datapad and a new hologram appeared. This one showed Earth, but also other human colonies and space stations. "We propose a mutual trade agreement. Humans have developed unique technologies that could benefit all Council species. We offer to share our advances in medicine, agriculture, and engineering. In return, we would like access to galactic trade networks and cultural exchange programs." The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Zethvar began to laugh. It was a horrible sound, like rocks grinding together. Soon all the other aliens joined in with their own versions of laughter. "You think you have something to offer us?" wheezed a Trade Federation member between gurgling laughs. "What could a primitive species possibly have that we would want?" "We have studied your technology through long-range observations," sang a celestial being, its voice bright with amusement. "You are thousands of years behind us in every field. Our medical knowledge alone could extend your lifespans by centuries," Hanul said calmly. "We have developed treatments for diseases that—" "Silence!" Zethvar slammed his fist on the table. The sound echoed through the chamber like thunder. "You dare to claim that your primitive medicine is better than ours? We have conquered death itself. Our warriors can fight for days with wounds that would kill 10 of your kind." A Vorthak general stood up next to Zethvar. This one had scars across his face and arms, and one of his eyes was artificial. "I am General Krekstar, commander of the Third Fleet. I have personally led the conquest of 47 worlds. I have seen species try to bargain from weakness before. It never ends well for them." Krekstar activated his own hologram. It showed a massive space battle. Thousands of ships fought among the stars, but it was clear that the Vorthak were winning. Their ships were dark and angular, covered with weapons. "This is the Aldari system," Krekstar growled. "The Aldari thought they were clever. They had developed new shield technology and believed they could stand against us. We destroyed their entire civilization in 6 hours." The hologram changed to show a planet. It was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. Then weapons fired from space, and the planet began to burn. 50 billion Aldari died because they thought they could negotiate from a position of strength, Krekstar said. "They had been spacefaring for 2,000 years. You have been in space for less than 100. Another hologram appeared, controlled by a celestial being. This one showed weapons that looked like pure light tearing through massive metal ships. "Our energy weapons can crack planets in half," the being sang. "We have turned entire solar systems into art projects. Your crude chemical explosives are toys compared to our power." A hive representative activated a third hologram. It showed planets covered with insect-like creatures. There were so many that the ground could not be seen. "We have colonized 10,000 worlds," it buzzed. "Our population numbers in the trillions. We can replace our losses faster than any enemy can inflict them. How many humans exist? 8 billion? 10 billion? We lose more than that in training exercises." The Trade Federation added their own display. It showed trade routes connecting thousands of star systems, with cargo ships the size of human cities carrying goods between worlds. "The galactic economy moves through our networks," gurgled their representative. "We control the flow of resources to 1 billion worlds. We could cut off your supply lines and watch you starve without firing a single shot." Finally, the Ancient Order created their hologram. It showed the rise and fall of dozens of different species over millions of years. Each one started small, grew proud, and then was destroyed. "We have seen this pattern repeated countless times," said their representative, now shaped like an old human woman. "Species like yours appear regularly. They think they are unique, that they have something special to offer. They are always wrong." Zethvar stood and walked around the chamber, his footsteps shaking the floor. "Let me explain something to you, little human. The galaxy is not a place where equals meet and trade. It is a place where the strong rule and the weak serve. That is the natural order." He stopped in front of Hanul and leaned down until his face was close to the humans. His breath smelled like burning metal. "You came here thinking we would be impressed by your courage. Instead, you have shown us that humans are not just primitive, but also stupid. We gave you generous terms," added a celestial being. 60% of your resources, 2 million workers per year, and oversight government. These terms were a gift. Now, because of your arrogance, they will be 70% resources, 4 million workers, and direct rule. "Wait," Hanul said, raising his hand. "You are changing the terms because we tried to negotiate?" "Of course," Zethvar straightened up. "Did you think there would be no consequences for wasting our time? For insulting us with your pathetic counter-proposal? The Hive representative buzzed louder. "You should have accepted immediately. Now your species will pay the price for your foolishness." "These new terms are final," gurgled a Trade Federation member. "You have 24 hours to accept them, or we will take what we want by force." An ancient order representative shifted into the shape of a predatory bird. "This is your last chance, human. Accept our rule, or watch your species become extinct." Hanul looked around the chamber at all the alien faces staring at him. Some looked angry, others amused, but all of them looked certain of their victory. "I understand," he said quietly. "You are telling me that humanity has no choice. We must accept your rule or be destroyed. Finally, you comprehend your situation." Zethvar nodded. "Yes, that is exactly what we are telling you. And you believe this because you think we are weak." "We know you are weak," Krekstar snarled. "Your entire military could not defeat one of our patrol squadrons." "You have no allies," sang a celestial being. "No one will come to help you if we decide to destroy you." "Your weapons cannot hurt our ships," buzzed the Hive. "Your ships cannot escape our fleets." "Your economy is too small to matter," added the Trade Federation. "Cutting you off from galactic trade would be like removing a single grain of sand from a beach." Hanul nodded slowly. "I see. Then I suppose we have no choice but to accept your terms." The aliens looked pleased. Several of them made satisfied sounds. "Excellent," Zethvar smiled, showing his teeth. "I knew your species could be taught. You will return to Earth and—" "Actually," Hanul interrupted, "I misspoke. I said we would accept your terms, but that is not accurate. I need to clarify Earth's position." The chamber grew quiet. Several aliens leaned forward. "Earth's government has reviewed your original proposal and your new demands. They have asked me to deliver a very simple message." Hanul's voice became stronger and clearer. "Humanity rejects both sets of terms. We will not surrender our resources, our people, or our freedom." The silence stretched for several seconds. Then Zethvar roared with laughter. "You still do not understand. You have no power here. Your rejection means nothing." "Furthermore," Hanul continued as if Zethvar had not spoken, "Earth considers your demands to be acts of aggression against a sovereign species. Any attempt to enforce these demands will be met with appropriate force." Now all the aliens were laughing. The sound filled the chamber and seemed to shake the walls. "Appropriate force?" Krekstar could barely speak through his laughter. "What force? Your 3 patrol boats? Your mining lasers?" wheezed a Trade Federation member. "Your chemical rockets?" sang the Celestials. "I am authorized to inform you," Hanul said when the laughter died down, "that Earth is sending a military representative to deliver our final response. Colonel Nam Ji-won will arrive tomorrow with full authority to speak for humanity's Defense Council." Zethvar wiped tears from his eyes. "A military representative? One soldier? What can one human soldier? Tell us that their diplomat cannot?" "Colonel Nam will explain Earth's position on military matters," Hanul replied. "She has spent her entire career preparing for this possibility." "What possibility?" asked an Ancient Order representative. the possibility that diplomacy might fail and that humanity might need to defend itself. Colonel Nam Ji-won walked into the council chamber exactly 24 hours after Lee Hanul had left. She came alone, wearing a simple black military uniform with no decorations, except for small silver bars on her collar. Her boots made sharp sounds on the metal floor as she walked to the center of the room. The aliens were already waiting for her. They looked different today. Yesterday they had seemed relaxed and amused. Today they looked eager, like predators waiting to finish off wounded prey. Zethvar was leaning forward in his chair, his yellow eyes fixed on the human woman. General Krekstar stood beside him with his arms crossed over his chest. The other species watched with various expressions of anticipation. "So," Zethvar said, his voice rumbling through the chamber, "you are the military representative, the soldier, who is going to explain humanity's position on military matters." Ji-won stopped in the center of the room and stood at attention. Her back was straight, her hands at her sides, her face calm and serious. "I am Colonel Nam Ji-won of the United Earth Defense Forces. I am here to deliver humanity's final response to the Galactic Council." "United Earth Defense Forces," Krekstar laughed. "How impressive. Tell me, Colonel, how many ships are in your mighty defense forces?" "That information is classified," Ji-won replied without expression. This caused another round of laughter from the aliens. "Classified," wheezed a Trade Federation member. "She thinks military secrets matter when talking to beings who could destroy her entire species." "How adorable," sang a celestial being. "The primitive tries to maintain operational security against vastly superior forces." Ji-won ignored the laughter and continued. "I am authorized to deliver the following message from Earth's government. Humanity formally rejects all demands made by the Galactic Council. We will not surrender our resources, our people, or our sovereignty. Any attempt to take these things by force will be considered an act of war." The laughter stopped. The chamber became very quiet. "An act of war?" Zethvar's voice was dangerously low. "You are declaring war on the Galactic Council?" "No," Ji-won said clearly. "We are informing you that your threats constitute a declaration of war against humanity. We are simply stating that we will respond accordingly." Krekstar stepped forward. His massive frame towered over the human woman, but she did not step back or look up at him. "Little soldier," he growled. "Do you have any idea what you are saying? I have destroyed entire civilizations. I have burned worlds and scattered their populations across the galaxy as slaves. I have fought battles in which more beings died in a single day than exist in your entire species." Ji-won looked straight ahead, not meeting his eyes. "I am aware of your military record, General Krekstar. I have studied the reports of your campaigns against the Aldari, the Nathari, and 45 other species. Then you know what happens to those who oppose us." "Yes, I also know how you achieved those victories. Overwhelming numbers against technologically inferior opponents. Surprise attacks against unprepared enemies. Psychological warfare against species that had never faced extinction." Krekstar's artificial eye glowed red. "Are you suggesting that these tactics would not work against humans?" "I am stating that humanity is not the Aldari. We are not unprepared. We are not technologically inferior. And we are not afraid of extinction." The general leaned down until his scarred face was inches from hers. "You should be. Fear is what keeps species alive in this galaxy." "Fear is what makes species into slaves," Ji-won replied. "Humanity chooses freedom." A celestial being flowed forward, its energy form pulsing with bright colors. "Freedom is an illusion, primitive creature. We have existed for millions of years. We have seen the birth and death of stars. Your species has barely learned to leave its gravity well. What could you possibly know about freedom that we do not?" "We know that freedom is not something you are given," Ji-won said, turning to face the energy being. "It is something you take and defend. We know that beings who live for millions of years sometimes forget what it means to fight for something worth dying for." "Worth dying for?" The celestial being's voice became harsh, like broken music. "Nothing is worth dying for when you could live forever in comfort under our protection." "That is where you are wrong," Ji-won said. "Some things are more important than survival." The hive representative buzzed loudly. "Foolish individual thinking. The collective is all that matters. Personal freedom is chaos. Order is peace. We will bring order to your species whether you want it or not. You will try, G1 acknowledged. And you will fail. Impossible, buzzed the hive. We have trillions of warriors. We have conquered thousands of worlds. We are unstoppable. Every conqueror believes they are unstoppable, G1 said, until they meet someone who refuses to be conquered. A Trade Federation member gurgled in annoyance. This is getting boring, Colonel. Your threats are meaningless. You have no military worth mentioning. Your entire navy consists of a few hundred small ships. We have seen them through our long-range sensors. You have seen some of our ships, G1 corrected. The ones we wanted you to see. What does that mean? Demanded Zethvar. It means that Earth's defense strategy does not rely on displaying our full capabilities to potential enemies. An ancient order representative shifted into the shape of a large predatory cat. We have watched your species for decades. We know exactly what you have and what you do not have. You are trying to bluff with nothing in your hands. Jiwan reached into her uniform pocket and pulled out a small device. It looked like a simple metal rectangle with a few lights on it. This contains the coordinates of a location in neutral space, exactly 1 light-year from here. In 6 hours, a human diplomatic vessel will be waiting there. You are invited to meet with our representatives one final time. A diplomatic vessel? Zethvar laughed. More diplomacy. We are done with diplomacy, human. We have made our demands clear. This is not an offer to negotiate, Jiwan said. This is an opportunity for you to withdraw your threats against humanity. After this meeting, there will be no more chances for peaceful resolution. And if we refuse to withdraw our threats? Asked a celestial being. Then you will face the consequences of those threats. Krekstar roared with laughter. Consequences? What consequences? You will send your patrol boats against our fleets? You will throw rocks at our battleships? General, Jiwan said, looking directly at him for the first time. You asked me earlier if I knew what I was saying. Let me ask you the same question. Do you know what you are saying when you threaten to destroy humanity? I am saying that your species will bow to us or die, Krekstar snarled. No, Jiwan shook her head. You are saying that you have never faced an enemy that was truly prepared for war. You are saying that you have grown comfortable fighting beings who were weaker than you. You are saying that you have forgotten what it means to face someone who is not afraid of you. We should be afraid of you? Zethvar stood up, his massive form casting a shadow over the human woman. Of your tiny species that has barely left its home system? You should be afraid of any species that chooses war over slavery, Jiwan replied. You should be afraid of beings who value freedom more than life. Most of all, you should be afraid of enemies who have had time to prepare. Prepare for what? Demanded a Trade Federation member. Prepare for this moment. The moment when diplomacy fails and humanity stops being polite. The chamber fell silent. The aliens looked at each other with expressions that might have been confusion or concern. You speak as if your species wanted this to happen, observed an ancient order representative. Wanted it? No. Expected it? Yes. Prepared for it? Absolutely. Zethvar's eyes narrowed. What do you mean, prepared? I mean that humanity has been watching the galaxy for a long time. We have studied your tactics, your technology, your strategies. We have prepared for the possibility that first contact would not be peaceful. Impossible. Krekstar shook his head. You could not have known about us before we contacted you. Could we not? Jiwan's face showed the hint of a smile. General, your ships have been traveling through space for thousands of years. Did you think no one was watching? The aliens exchanged glances. This was clearly not what they had expected to hear. Even if you watched us, said a celestial being, what could you learn that would help you? Our technology is far beyond yours. Your technology is different from ours, Jiwan corrected. That does not necessarily make it superior. Different how? Asked a hive representative. Your technology is designed for conquest. Ours is designed for survival. Survival against what? Zethvar demanded. Against beings like you. The colonel walked toward the chamber entrance. As she reached the door, she turned back to face the council. The coordinates are in the device I left on the table. You have 6 hours to decide whether you want to end this peacefully or learn what humanity looks like when we stop trying to be diplomatic. Wait, called Zethvar. You still have not told us what you plan to do if we refuse to back down. What consequences are you threatening us with? Jiwan paused. You have fleets of thousands of warships. You have weapons that can crack planets. You have armies of trillions. You want to know what humanity will send against all of that? Yes, several aliens said at once. We will send one battleship. The silence that followed was complete. The combined fleets of the Galactic Council arrived at the coordinates exactly 6 hours after Colonel Nam Ji-won had left the chamber. It was the largest military force ever assembled in the galaxy's history. 200,000 warships from 5 different empires, all gathered to crush a single human vessel. General Krekstar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Deathbringer. Through the massive windows, he could see the other fleets arranged in perfect battle formations. The Vorthak. Ships were dark and angular, covered with weapons that could burn through any known armor. The celestial vessels looked like living stars, pulsing with energy that could tear holes in space itself. The hive ships moved in perfect coordination, thousands of them acting as one mind. Each ship was organic-looking, grown rather than built, with weapons that fired living ammunition. The Trade Federation had brought their war barges, massive vessels that could carry entire armies between stars. The Ancient Order ships were the strangest, changing shape and color as they moved, like metal that was still alive. "Scan the area," Krekstar ordered his sensor officer. "Where is this human battleship we were promised?" The Vorthak officer, a younger male with bright green scales, worked at his control panel. "Nothing on sensors, General. The area appears to be empty." "Keep scanning. They said 6 hours. It has been exactly 6 hours." On the communication screen, Zethvar's face appeared from his command ship. "Any sign of the humans yet, Krekstar?" "Nothing. Perhaps they have reconsidered their foolish threats, or perhaps they never had a ship to begin with," suggested a celestial commander, her energy form flickering with amusement. This could have been a bluff from the beginning. Admiral Zukth of the Hive buzzed through the communication system. "Irrelevant. We are here. We will wait the appropriate time, then proceed to Earth and begin the conquest." Trade, Prince Gulmar's aquatic voice gurgled through the speakers. "My cargo holds are already prepared to receive human slaves. This will be profitable regardless of whether they show up to fight." Ancient Order. Eldest Morvok spoke last, his voice like wind through old trees. "Patience. If they come, we will destroy them. If they do not come, we will hunt them down. Either way, this ends today." Suddenly, alarms began sounding on every ship in the fleet. Sensor officers across 200,000 vessels began reporting the same impossible readings. "General," the young Vorthak officer's voice cracked with fear, "I am detecting a massive energy signature approaching from the edge of the system." "How massive?" Krekstar demanded. "Sir, it is larger than anything I have ever seen. The energy output is off our measurement scales." On screens across the fleet, tactical displays showed a single contact approaching at incredible speed. But the size readings made no sense. No ship could be that large. "Visual confirmation," Krekstar ordered. "I want to see what we are dealing with." The main screen flickered and then showed empty space. Stars twinkled in the distance. There was nothing there. "Sensor officer, your equipment is malfunctioning." "There is nothing," the officer's voice was barely a whisper. "General, look at the edge of the screen, far background." Krekstar looked where the officer pointed. At first, he saw only stars. Then he realized that some of those stars were moving. No, not moving, growing larger. What he had taken for distant stars were actually lights on something so big that his mind could not immediately process what he was seeing. As it came closer, the true scale became clear. The human battleship was not just large, it was impossibly, incomprehensibly vast. The largest Vorthak dreadnought measured 5 kilometers from front to back. The biggest celestial vessel was 8 kilometers across. The most massive hive ship was 12 kilometers long. The Trade Federation's greatest war barge stretched 15 kilometers. Even the Ancient Order's most impressive construct was only 20 kilometers in length. The human ship was over 200 kilometers long. It moved through space like a floating city. Its hull was white and silver, made from materials that seemed to glow with their own light. Weapons that looked like small moons were mounted along its sides. Engine exhausts the size of small planets pushed it forward with impossible grace. "That is impossible," whispered Zethvar over the communication system. "No single vessel can be that large. The structural stress alone would tear it apart." "The energy required to move something that size," sang a celestial commander, her voice filled with disbelief, "would require the power output of an entire star." "How did they build it?" buzzed Admiral Zukth. "Where did they get the materials? The construction facilities required would have to be larger than most planets." The human ship slowed as it approached the galactic fleets. It did not stop at a respectful distance. It did not position itself defensively. Instead, it moved to the center of the formation, placing itself in the middle of 200,000 enemy vessels. A communication signal reached every ship in the combined fleet simultaneously. "This is Captain Yoon Tae-hyung of the United Earth. Ship harmonies end. You were warned. This is your last chance to withdraw your threats against humanity and depart in peace." The voice was calm and professional, as if the captain was discussing the weather rather than facing the largest battle fleet in galactic history. Krekstar found his voice first. "Captain Yoon, I am General Krekstar of the Vorthak Empire. Your ship is impressive, but you are still outnumbered 200,000 to 1. Surrender now and we will make your deaths quick." "General," Captain Yoon replied, "you seem to be under a misunderstanding. We did not come here to surrender. We came here to give you one final opportunity to leave peacefully." Zethvar's laugh echoed across the communication channels. "One ship! Even if it is large, it is still just one ship against our entire combined fleet. You cannot possibly believe you can defeat us all." "You are correct about one thing, Captain," Yoon acknowledged. "This is just one ship." There was a pause that seemed to stretch across space itself. "But you seem to misunderstand something fundamental about humanity. We did not send one ship because that is all we have. We sent one ship because that is all we need." The silence that followed was complete. 200,000 ships waited in the darkness, their crews trying to process what they had just heard. Admiral Zukth was the first to break the silence. "Impossible. No single vessel, regardless of size, can stand against our numbers. We have weapons that can destroy planets. We have shields that can withstand the explosion of stars." "You have weapons designed to fight enemies like yourselves," came the reply. "You have shields tested against technology similar to your own. You have tactics developed against opponents who think like you do." "And you do not think like us?" asked an Ancient Order commander. "No, we do not think like conquerors. We think like defenders. And defenders who have had time to prepare are very different from the enemies you are used to fighting." On his bridge, Krekstar studied the tactical displays. Despite its enormous size, the human ship showed no obvious weapons. No missile ports, no energy cannons, no obvious defensive systems. It looked more like a space station than a warship. "Captain," he said slowly, "your vessel appears to be unarmed. Where are your weapons?" "General, you are looking at our weapon. The entire ship is a weapon. The entire ship is a warning." Before anyone could ask what that meant, every sensor system in the galactic fleet began registering new contacts. Hundreds of them, then thousands, then tens of thousands. "Report!" Krekstar shouted to his sensor officer. "General, I am detecting massive numbers of small craft launching from the human vessel. They are everywhere, surrounding us completely." The tactical displays showed the truth. The human battleship was not just a single vessel. It was a carrier, and it had just launched what appeared to be its entire complement of fighters. But as the small craft spread out through the galactic formation, their true nature became clear. They were not fighters. They were themselves warships, each one the size of a Vorthak cruiser, and there were 50,000 of them. 50,000 escort vessels. Captain Yoon's voice came through the communication system, each one armed with weapons your science cannot yet understand. Each one crewed by humans who have trained their entire lives for this moment, each one capable of destroying any ship in your fleet. The escort vessels took positions throughout the galactic formation. They moved with perfect precision, each one targeting multiple enemy ships simultaneously. In seconds, every ship in the combined fleet found itself under the guns of human weapons. "This is impossible," whispered Zethvar. "Where did they all come from? How did you hide them?" "We did not hide them," Captain Yoon replied. "They were inside our battleship. What you see now is not our fleet. It is our escort." "Escort for what?" demanded Krekstar. "For the diplomatic mission you made impossible." Admiral Zuck's voice cut through the confusion. "You are bluffing. You cannot have developed technology so far beyond ours without us noticing. We have been watching you for decades. You have been watching what we wanted you to see. Humanity has been preparing for this day since we first detected your civilizations. We knew that first contact might not be peaceful. We prepared accordingly." "Prepared how?" asked an Ancient Order commander. "We studied your tactics. We analyzed your technology. We identified your weaknesses. What happened next was not a battle. It was a demonstration of power so complete and overwhelming that it changed everything the galaxy thought it knew about warfare." The first shot came from a human escort vessel positioned near the Vorthak Third Fleet. The weapon did not look like anything the galactic species recognized. There was no visible beam, no missile trail, no energy discharge. One moment, a Vorthak destroyer was there, intact and threatening. The next moment, it simply stopped existing. Not destroyed, not blown apart, not reduced to wreckage. It was simply gone, as if it had never been there at all. "Report!" "General," Krekstar shouted on his flagship. "What happened to the Ravager?" His sensor officer stared at his instruments in confusion. "General, there is no debris, no energy signature. The ship has been removed." Before anyone could process this, 10 more Vorthak ships vanished in the same way. Then 20, then 50. The human weapons fired in perfect silence, each shot erasing another warship from existence. "Shields up! All ships! Maximum defensive power!" Krekstar commanded. The Vorthak shields activated, creating energy barriers that could stop any known weapon. The shields held for exactly 3 seconds before they were simply bypassed. The human weapons ignored the shields completely, as if they were not there. "Impossible," breathed Admiral Zuck from his Hive command ship. "Nothing can penetrate Vorthak shields that easily." A human escort vessel near the Hive fleet demonstrated that Hive shields were equally useless. Organic Hive ships began disappearing just as efficiently as the Vorthak vessels, but the human weapons were not finished showing their capabilities. The next demonstration targeted the Celestial Dominion fleet. The celestial beings had no physical ships in the traditional sense. Their vessels were made of pure energy, constantly shifting and changing shape. They believed this made them immune to physical weapons. The human escort vessels proved them wrong. Energy beings that had existed for millions of years simply winked out of existence, their consciousness scattered across space like dust in the wind. "How?" whispered Celestial High Commander Luxara before her own ship was targeted. "We are pure energy. We cannot be destroyed by physical force." "Your energy follows patterns," came Captain Yoon's voice over the communication system. "Patterns can be disrupted. Consciousness can be dispersed. Even gods can die if you understand the science behind their existence." The Trade Federation tried to retreat. Their massive cargo vessels began turning away from the human battleship, hoping their size and heavy armor would protect them long enough to escape. The human weapons showed them that size meant nothing when facing technology that could manipulate matter at the atomic level. Trade. Prince Gulmar watched in horror as his flagship's hull began to dissolve. Not melt, not break apart, but simply cease to exist at the molecular level. "My ship is coming apart," he gurgled into his communicator. "The hull is disappearing." "Molecular disassembly," Captain Yoon explained calmly. "We are deconstructing your vessels atom by atom. It is very precise and very final." The Ancient Order tried their most desperate tactic. Their ships began changing into forms that mimicked the human escort vessels, hoping to confuse the targeting systems. The human weapons were not fooled. "Shape-changing will not save you," came a new voice over the communication system. "This is Commander Choi Yuna, Human Weapons Specialist. Our targeting systems do not rely on visual identification. We track quantum signatures. We target consciousness patterns. We can identify your ships regardless of what shape they take. Ancient Order. Eldest Morvac felt something he had not experienced in millions of years. Terror. You can see through our shape-shifting abilities? That is impossible. We have used these techniques to survive since the galaxy was young. You have used them against species that did not understand quantum mechanics at the level we do, Commander Choi replied. We do not see your shapes. We see your essence, and your essence cannot hide from our weapons. Within minutes, half of the combined galactic fleet had been destroyed. But the true horror for the surviving aliens was not the destruction itself. It was the precision of it. The human weapons struck exactly where they intended. No stray shots, no missed targets, no collateral damage to nearby ships. Each weapon fired once and eliminated exactly one enemy vessel. The accuracy was perfect, and the efficiency was terrifying. This is not possible, Zethvar transmitted from his command ship, watching his fleets disappear around him. No species can develop weapons this advanced without us knowing about it. We have been monitoring human space for decades. You have been monitoring what we allowed you to monitor, came a new voice. This one belonged to Chief Intelligence Officer Kang. Doyun, humanity has been aware of your civilizations for much longer than you realize. The communication system crackled, and suddenly, every ship in the galactic fleet received a massive data transmission. Files began appearing on their computer systems. Military records, classified documents, secret communications, private conversations between high-ranking officials. What is this? Demanded Admiral Zuck, as his screens filled with Hive military plans that were supposed to be known only to the highest levels of command. This is proof that humanity has been watching you for centuries, Officer Kang replied. We have infiltrated your communication networks. We have accessed your military databases. We know your fleet compositions, your battle tactics, your weapons, capabilities, and your strategic weaknesses. More files appeared. Detailed analyses of every major battle the galactic species had fought. Complete technical specifications of their weapons and shields. Personal psychological profiles of their military leaders. Economic reports showing the resource requirements for their fleets. How long have you been spying on us? Celestial Commander, Luxara asked, her energy form flickering with fear. Since we first detected your radio transmissions 400 years ago. We have been preparing for this meeting since before any of you knew we existed. The implications hit the alien commanders, like physical blows. Humanity had not been surprised by first contact. They had been expecting it, planning for it, preparing for it for 4 centuries. The confident diplomat who came to our council, Zethvar said slowly. He knew we would make those demands. Ambassador Lee Hanul knew exactly what you would offer, and exactly how you would react to our refusal, Officer Kang confirmed. We have studied your psychology extensively. You are predictable. The colonel who delivered your warning, Admiral Zuck buzzed. She knew we would laugh at the threat of one battleship. Colonel Nam Jiwan knew that your arrogance would bring your entire combined fleet to this location. We needed all of you here for this demonstration. General Krekstar felt a chill run down his spine. Demonstration of what? Captain Yoon's voice returned to the communication system. Demonstration of why humanity chose diplomacy first, General. We could have attacked your worlds at any time over the past 4 centuries. We could have destroyed your civilizations before you ever knew we existed. The human escort vessels stopped firing. The galactic fleet hung in space, more than half of their ships destroyed, the survivors paralyzed by shock and fear. But we did not attack you, Captain Yoon continued. We came to you seeking peace. We offered cooperation and mutual respect. We tried diplomacy first because we hoped it would work. Why? Whispered Trade Prince Gulmar. If you had this power all along, why not simply conquer us? Because conquest was never our goal. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We do not want to enslave other species. We want to be left alone to live our lives in peace. Then why this demonstration? Demanded an Ancient Order commander. Why show us your power if you do not intend to use it? Because sometimes the only way to ensure peace is to make the cost of war too high to consider. You needed to understand that threatening humanity was not just foolish, it was impossible. Admiral Zuckth looked around at the scattered remains of the mightiest fleet in galactic history. What happens now? Do you destroy the rest of us? That depends entirely on you, Admiral. Are you going to continue threatening humanity? Or are you going to return to your worlds and forget this conversation? Ever happened? And if we choose to return and gather larger fleets? Asked Zethvar. Then you will discover that the UES Harmony's End is not our most powerful warship. The silence that followed this statement was complete. Every surviving alien stared at their screens in horror. Not your most powerful ship? Krekstar's voice was barely a whisper. The Harmony's End is a diplomatic escort vessel designed for first contact missions. It is not even in our top 10 most heavily armed ships. How many ships do you have? Asked. A celestial commander. Enough, was the only answer Captain Yoon provided. The truth was sinking in for the galactic commanders. Humanity had sent what they considered a minor vessel to face the combined might of 5 empires, and it had won effortlessly. What? About our colonies? Asked Trade Prince Gulmar. Our trade routes? Our military bases? They are safe, as long as you leave humanity alone. We have no interest in your territories or your resources. We simply want to be left in peace. And if other species threaten you in the future? Asked an Ancient Order representative. Then they will receive the same warning you did. And if they ignore that warning, they will face the same consequences.